Rochester is not for everyone, and I have lived here for 13 years. And if you live here, you definitely know what I'm talking about. In this video, I will be talking about some of the pros and cons if you wanted to potentially live in Rochester. Are you thinking about moving to Rochester? And before you finalize and pack your bag, let's get to the real pros and cons of living in Rochester. So what I'm about to share with you here isn't just a Google list. It is a real experience from someone who have lived here. Let's dive in. So here are the 5 pros of living in Rochester. Number 1 going to be a housing affordability. One of the biggest pros for the Rochester is a housing affordability. Rochester consistently ranking as one of the most affordable housing market in the country. For example, while the national median home price is well over $400,000, here in Rochester, you can still find a single-family homes in $200,000 to $300,000, depending on the area. I'm not talking about Penfield, Pittsburgh. Yeah, obviously, it's going to be hard. But if you're looking at area like Chris, Charlie, and Henrietta, you can still able to find a single-family home range from $200,000 to $300,000 with a reasonable mortgage payment. That means you can own a home here a fraction of a cost compared to Boston, New York City, and even our neighboring city, Buffalo, New York. And for investor, Rochester is a gold mine. You can easily buy a house from $100,000 to $200,000 in the city of Rochester or in a suburb right around $350,000, and you will get a reasonable rent compared to the other towns and a massive housing prices like $1 million in California. Number 2 going to be a job market and education sector. Rochester has shifted from a Kodak and Xerox manufacturing days, and now it is a hub for the healthcare, education, and technology. The University of Rochester and Rochester Institute of Technology are huge archers here. Now, not only a job, but also attracting a talent. Healthcare is one of the largest employer here. U of R Medical and Rochester Regional Health provide thousands of jobs. So whether you are in a medical, tech, education, or a skilled trade, you can find an opportunity. The presence of big university also make this place well innovative research and always happening. And I don't even want to talk about the Monroe Community College in Brockport and other John Fisher-like colleges are one of the top needs where you can able to graduate with little to no cost and break your bank. And number 3, I'm going to talk about the lifestyle and the 4 seasons we are granted as a Rochesterian. If you like the variety of the season, you're going to love the Rochester. Like I do, that's why I'm here still for 13 years. Spring will bring the Lilac Festival. This is one of the biggest festival in Rochester, in Highland Park, where travels, and we expect to 80 to 100,000, sometime even 150,000 people to visit Rochester in a week during the time of the Lilac Festival with all of the music, a lot of local foods, and everything blooms. Summer is all about Lake Ontario, the Finger Lakes, the hiking, the boating. Fall here is gorgeous. You got apple picking, you also can pick a grape, berries, and also Finger Lake is known as the biggest wineries in the entire Western New York. If you plan to visit a scenic lake, then it's going to be a gorgeous place and you're going to find the wineries in every single traffic light. And yes, winter here is very severe and super long. But if you like skiing or snowboarding, you are very close to the Bristol Mountain and the ski area. You just gotta travel 45 minutes and spend an entire day with your family, and you will get an opportunity to create a memory with your family. And this 4 season is a part of what gives the Rochester a different character, and you will get a little bit of everything. Number 4, I'm gonna talk about the family-friendly community. I have traveled a lot of places, and that's gonna be part of my day-to-day life. And I did not find the people that are friendly like a Rochester in other states. For me personally, one of the reasons I choose Rochester to raise my family is how community-oriented it is. Neighborhoods here are safe, and there are tons of park, green space, and a school in a suburb are excellent. A school district like Pittsburgh, Fairport, Brighton, Webster, Penfield, Victor, just to name a few. On weekend, families are at the soccer game, football, and a baseball game. If not, on a farmer market or community festival. If you want to grow in a slower pace than a bigger cities, but it's still plenty to do, Rochester delivers those opportunity for you. Last but not the least, the Rochester culture, food, and festivals are in a top niche. People don't always realize how much culture Rochester has. We got an international jazz festival that brings world-class musicians here every summer in a downtown Rochester. The public market is one of the best in a country. Fresh food, food vendors, coffee, and you name it. This is gonna be the most precious time I spend every Saturday, every of my weekend, grabbing a fresh food, and it is reasonably priced than any supermarket. And do not forget, you get everything fresh here every week. If you are foodie, Rochester will surprise you. From the local staples like a garbage plate to fine dining to the international cuisine. Because of our diverse community, festivals, we got a lot of festivals here. Don't talk about Flylac Festival. Everybody knows this. Park Avenue Fest is one of the greatest that I ever visited. Crown Hill Arts Festival. This is such a great place to find the art, the history of the Rochester. And you will never be bored. I think I just talking too much about pros, but yeah, definitely Rochester is not for everyone. And that are some of the cons that I'm gonna talk about here, which is the biggest drawdown for so many people who decide not even considering moving here in Rochester. So among those, one of that and the biggest one everybody talk about is our winter. And yeah, Rochester really sucks and so many people hate about the Rochester. Let's be honest, the winter here are tough. We are talking about the heavy lake effect snows, cold temperature, and it can be dragged from the late November all the way until the March or even April. I'm never gonna forget we have a massive, biggest storm in a March of 2015 and last year. So yeah, that did happen here. That means snow removal, higher heating bills, and sometimes it just feel like the sun disappear for a month. For people relocating from the warmer climates, this could be a shock. One of the flip side is if you embark with ski, hockey, or winter sport is miserable. And it is a real cons for the many people. And now let's talk about the property tax. This is the horrible things people think about the Rochester. And yeah, it is true. I admitted that living here in 13 years and owning multiple properties, yes, taxes are crazy high here. If you doesn't make enough money, you will get broke just by paying a property tax without even having a mortgage on your property. Rochester has some of the highest property tax in the country, and Rochester has no exemption. Even though housing prices are affordable, the taxes can be burden, especially in the southern suburb. For example, 250,000 homes could easily carry 7,000 to 9,000 a year in taxes. Depending on the school district, it is something you absolutely need to factor your budget before even you considering moving here or if you are shopping around. And if you're looking for a cheapest property tax is a Henrietta. You will not break your bank by buying a house in Henrietta because it is one of the lowest taxes. But if you compare to some of the east side of the Rochester or even a west side like a Gates and a Grace, they have unrealistic taxes for no any reason. So if you are planning to move here, make sure you're talking to someone or you are doing enough due diligence to factor out this cost before even you consider buying it. Because after 2 years, you purchase a property, you will be surprised to see that bill hike 30 to 40% from the previous tax when you bought the property. So make sure you do all due diligence before you even putting an offer on any property. Yes, I'm not gonna bore you by talking about the property tax here in Rochester because you should know by now. If you are already doing some research about the Rochester, this is gonna be a first thing that's gonna pop up in the internet. So let's deep dive on number 3 about the economic segment. Well, the job market is strong in the healthcare sector and education. Rochester is still transforming from its old industry economy where we have ups and downs, and depending on the industry, you may not find many opportunity as in a bigger cities. For instead, if you are in a finance and entertainment, you may find limited job opportunity. The key is knowing what you are thriving here. Healthcare, tech, and education are the great, but not every sector is strong. So before you pack your bag, you're supposed to be knowing what is the possibility of getting a job for what sector you fit in. Now let's talk about the Rochesters. Like, there is so many times I've run into people, and yeah, there's something funny. When I tell the people outside New York State that I live in Rochester, they often think I'm in Rochester, Minnesota. Our city does not have the name recognition like a place like Boston, Chicago, or even New York City. That means it's not a big destination city. The upside is not overrun by the tourism, but the downside is you do not always get the big city feels and reputation. And the commute for the public transportation is very limited here. You will not get access to every places. There is a limited transportation system here, and also there is no metro like a bigger city. So if you moving here and plan to do a job, you definitely need a car. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for you to go from one place to another, or even for your daily commute to your job, hospital, or other appointments. And another bigger cons here in Rochester is a lot of homes here in Rochester are older. Many were built in early mid-1900. Well, that means the charm and the character. It also means you have to deal with the older roof, outdated plumbing, or a drafty window. Buyers here be prepped to do inspection that will uncover things that needs updating in the near future. But because of the challenging housing market we have here in Rochester, so many people are forced to waive the inspection, which is definitely not on your favor. And there's a potential you're gonna run into a bigger risks or bigger issue down the road, and now it is your responsibilities after the closing. Of course, we do have newer homes here, but due to the limited number of new building and new construction area, finding something new either is very challenging or it's going to be super expensive. And you know, the tax is high. So if you have a new construction, you're going to break your bank. And if you are thinking of buying a new construction and you don't make a very good money, it's impossible to even think about it. You can find the new construction in a suburb, but due to the limited number of the builders, finding suitable house in your price range would be very challenging, and plus, you end up paying significantly higher just due to lack of the housing market here. But the older homes stocks is something you need to keep in mind. So here you have it, the real pros and cons of living in Rochester, New York. Personally, the pros far overweigh the cons, and that's why I choose to make a Rochester my home and raise my family here. But every move is personal, and what I feels like a pro to me might feel like a con for you. If you consider relocating to Rochester, buying your first home, or even investing here, hit the subscribe button. I share the market update, neighborhood tours, cost of living breakdown, and lifestyle tips so you know exactly what to expect.